The murder of George Floyd sparked global protests, with the world asking how could they best support black people. When it came to racial injustice, police brutality, and social inequality. But his death also started another conversation.
Black Pound Day is a day where we're asking all people, cultures, ethnicities in the UK to spend black on the first Saturday of every month.
And we kept it UK.
With black-owned businesses more likely to fail to get off the ground than any other ethnicity, is spending black or consciously shopping from black-owned businesses the answer?
The reignited focus on black business helped to keep you afloat.
I think what it done as well was it like ignited something in people's minds. Yeah, that obviously black lives do matter, but also to invest in black lives as well.
I'm 𝗂𝗏𝗏𝗏, and I'm on a journey to find out what impact consciously spending black has on the black community.
There's a few ways that we can and do reinvest back into the black community. My team is 100% black and mixed race.
We spoke to 30 female-led businesses and 30 male-led businesses. And what we learned was that black founders don't have a gender diversity problem.
But despite some positives, should the concept of buying black continue?
Right now, you go on lots of websites and every model's black. I'm just thinking, is that gonna last? Like, what, you know, don't just throw everything for a short time and then next year go back to, you know, your typical model.
When a company presents itself as being black-owned, does that resonate with a consumer?
That's not the best way because, you know, that is a way of guilting and shaming people into saying this is what is important right now and this is what we need to take care of.
Measuring impact, or even the number of black businesses as a whole, is very techy. It's not easy to do because there's no data on the ethnicity of business owners.
In 2020, it was estimated that of the 5.9 million businesses in the UK, 40,000 were black-owned.
But it hasn't been easy to get here, and spending black is a big part of our story.
Spending black is not a new concept. Spending black or circulating money within the black community can be traced back as far as 1921, when in the USA, a Black Wall Street was formed in Tulsa, Oklahoma. During the height of racial segregation, wild mobs ran riot through the prosperous black neighborhood. By the morning of the 1st of June 1921, an estimated 300 black people had been killed, more than 1,000 homes destroyed, and the thriving business district burned. Fast forward to the 60s, and black people were not even allowed in some shops in the UK, let alone to buy a premises to start a business. Larger banks refused the black community business loans, and in response, Black Caribbean set up England's first ever credit union. It helped Windrush immigrants settle in London, access loans, and finally begin building black businesses. But to this day, black-owned businesses in the UK face tougher challenges than most. The most recent UK government figures show that black Africans and Caribbeans are still 4 times more likely to have their business loan applications rejected than Indian and white business owners. According to a 𝗏 UK report, black people are way more likely to work multiple jobs to fund businesses themselves. And although black people have recently been reported to be 3 times more likely to start a business than white people, they are also more likely to fail to get it off the ground.
This makes me think, if black businesses are still fighting this structural racism in this way to even get their ideas off the ground, has the focus on spending black in the wake of George Floyd's murder changed anything at all?
I'm off to meet 𝘂𝗶𝗃. He started a landscape business in the pandemic. He says his success was built on people spending black.
𝘂𝗶𝗃! Morning, bro. How are you?
I'm good, man. How you doing? You all right?
I'm nice. I'm here. I'm ready to work.
The whole aim of today is to essentially finish up the fencing.
Okay.
So we're going all the way up to the top.
Let's get to it, man. Yeah, I'm ready. 2020 was a crazy year for a lot of us. Let me know what your life was like at the start of that year.
To paint a picture for you, I lost 2 jobs in the space of 3 months. So the first one I lost the month after getting married. The 1st of January, I started another job.
Okay.
Only to lose that job. The reason I don't never forget it was I felt so overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Because my wife by that point was like 5 months heavily pregnant for my second child, my beautiful son.
At this point, 𝘂𝗍 decided to take the risk and start up his own landscaping business. Meanwhile, Black Lives Matter was at its height. He promoted his business on an ever-growing Facebook group that was designed to support black business owners, and his posts went viral.
And at the time, if I'm completely honest, I was thought, yeah, maybe if I get like 1 or 2 jobs, cool. to kind of get me started, and it would have been about £400 to agree the job's worth over 10 grand in the space of 4 months.
That's amazing.
It is quite a journey.
So with all of that taken into account, how much of that came from those in the black community? 90 to 95%.
That's crazy. It's a lot. It's well over 90%.
Do you think BLM and also the reignited passion and focus on black business helped to keep you afloat in these times as well?
Definitely, yeah. I'll put a lot of it down to that. And I think what it done as well was it like ignited something in people's minds.
Yeah.
That obviously black lives do matter.
Yeah.
But also not necessarily that it just matter, but also to invest in black lives as well.
Now, I've got to say, I truly feel inspired. I feel 𝘂𝗍's right when he said that, BLM, this has really helped to kind of shift mentalities towards black people supporting black business, and that's creating jobs for black people, even in a time like now where we have a pandemic that has been so devastating for so many people. I'm truly inspired. Wicked.
𝘂𝗍's business survived because black consumers chose to spend black. But what are the other impacts of supporting a black-owned business? I went to meet Andy Davis, the author of The Black Report, to answer this question. Hey, Andy!
Yeah, I'm good, bro. How are you then?
I'm amazed. Do you know what? I'm even more amazing now that I've seen this. This is amazing.
Malt, you gotta love malt.
And we can use these as well. But first, please, introduce yourself and what you've done.
I deep dive interviewed personally 60 black founders, 30 female, 30 male, to get realistic insights and perspectives as to what it means to be a black founder.
60 businesses won't give us a national picture, but as the only report that specifically looks at how black-owned businesses socially impact the black community, it's worth finding out more. So let's talk about gender.
Sure, so we spoke to 30 female-led businesses and 30 male-led businesses. And what we learned was that black founders don't have a gender diversity problem. If you look into their teams, we've seen that there's 53% of male staff, 46% of female staff, 1% non-binary.
When you look at it like this,
yep.
You know what I mean? It's nice to see it being equal amongst both groups.
That's unheard of in any organisation anywhere.
Andy's report also suggests that 3/4 of the staff employed by these black-owned businesses were people of colour. 45 out of the 60
are people of colour.
Yes, diverse.
Look at that. Black people build diverse businesses.
Let's play devil's advocate, okay? There might be some people that are saying, okay, why are you talking about a diverse workforce in business so much? From your experience and your observations, what does a diverse team or a diverse workforce in business kind of impact and results that we can see from having a more diverse workforce?
Look at the world of investment. And there's been reports out recently which tell us that the more diverse investment funds produce the most returns. But as the demographic of the world changes, especially in the UK, you need to be more open and have a more diverse team. You can talk to a more diverse crowd and you can bring in business for the future.
So let's talk about social mobility. If we're to visualize it, this would be the amount of people who were in, you know, what you would call a working class situation. How much of these now still identify as working class?
Only 10%.
Wow.
So there's 90% who identify as lower to upper middle class.
That's amazing.
I think it tells us all that entrepreneurship is a way out of poverty.
What I'm doing is I can't help it. I'm just looking at all of these reflective of individual human beings.
This is our culture.
You can see here clearly that if we have black founders, black business, then this could lead to a way that we can actually mobilize socially
and improving our opportunities and hopefully trickling down to make sure we can spread that and bring other people up to improve their opportunities as well.
100%, and not just in business, but that will spread across every sector and every vertical as well.
Despite all the positives associated with spending black, there are lots of legitimate reasons why people might struggle to. For example, how do you know if a business is black-owned or not? Leanne, Ryan and Natalie are three siblings from Coventry who run the fashion business 𝗷𝗃𝗏. I first met them in the midst of the pandemic when their sales were down by 80%.
Last year was our most successful year. Things were going really, really well just before COVID hit, and we were a team of 12. We had 2 offices, and we were just about hitting 7 figures.
We're working class kids. I ain't never seen them figures.
And this year?
No.
I contemplated getting a delivery Saturday job, real talk. There's been like £40 days. We haven't been on that for years. That is not sustainable.
The thing that you've built as a baby for 6 years is possibly ending. And that's the first time this year that has even crept anywhere near my head, I think.
At the same time as dealing with the losses of the business, George Floyd's murder had a profound impact on 𝗷𝗃𝗏.
Not everybody does know we're a black-owned business. There have been a lot of people who've been surprised, and we've also been called out on Instagram for not being black enough. As a new business to survive, we've had to put what people wanted at the forefront. Before, we've always had a very stereotypically attractive white model on the website and in our campaigns.
And, you know, when we'd post content that was of a black nature before, we knew we wouldn't get many likes, many follows. That's life. I looked at my own homepage. There was lots of stuff going on, and I didn't feel that what was going on with me personally was reflecting in our business anymore. Right now, you go on lots of websites and every model's black. I'm just thinking, is that gonna last? Like, what, you know, is that gonna last? Those businesses are usually owned by white people. Is that gonna last? Where's the longevity? Don't just throw everything for a short time and then next year go back to, you know, your typical model. We're on a long game, so I'm not gonna be rushed anymore. I felt rushed this year.
𝗷𝗃𝗏 made it clear to me that they wanted to introduce their blackness into the business in a way that could outlast the immediate reaction to BLM. So, over the next few months, they met with a black lender.
Our revenues are down by probably averaging about 50% down on last year.
I talk to businesses every single day, and not many people have achieved what you three have achieved, so you should be patting yourself on the back. And look, what's happening with COVID is happening to everyone.
A black mentor.
Your customer, essentially, could become that person of influence.
And an online marketplace that only promotes black-owned businesses. We'll be coming back later to 𝗷𝗃𝗏 to see how they get on.
But now I'm off to meet another black CEO who is actively reinvesting into the black community. 𝗃𝗶𝗰𝗲 gained her confidence to start her hair care business in the 2015 BLM movement. At the time, most black hair care products were not sold by black people.
Me and my friends, when we were younger, going to the hair shop, you're definitely getting followed around by someone. You're definitely asking for gel and you're being shown shampoo or conditioner. Like, they just don't know. And there's like this arrogance that I don't need to learn how to navigate this either.
At 26, she now runs Europe's largest subscription box for hair care.
We estimate that about 93% of our subscribers are black. And so for me, that means that I have a responsibility to reinvest back into that community that's essentially keeping my business afloat.
And you touched on reinvesting into the community. So what are you guys doing as a business to reinvest into the community?
There's a few ways that we can and do reinvest back into the black community. My team is 100% black and mixed race, black and multicultural. Over the past year or so, we spent about 200K with black talent. So that's influencers, staff, team, videographers, photographers, editors, programmers. We make a very concerted effort to hire and pay fairly talent and people that look like us, to be honest. When we talk about reinvestment, a lot of the time we think we're talking about money, but reinvestment also looks like mentoring. It also looks like sharing knowledge. it also looks like networking and building out your network and bringing other people in and along on the journey. And I feel like we've been able to do that quite successfully so far. But I think that it's important because no one else is going to make the concerted effort to invest in black talent. So as a business that's run for and by black women, it's just something that comes naturally to us, but also something that we prioritise.
I think that's a very, very good point. The networking that you're talking about is probably even more valuable than money when you really think about it.
I agree.
Thank you so much for your time. Once again, it's a privilege to be here in this massive space, might I say.
So far, I've met people who have explained what black people can do for each other through business. But I'm still left wondering why many black businesses in the UK are struggling to get off the ground. I met up with Demi, the founder of Lendo, a business that lends to mainly black and brown businesses. He has an insight into where black businesses don't help themselves and what's influencing those decisions.
Now, I'm really trying to understand if race plays a factor in the progression of a business owned by a black person. You are 3 times more likely to be refused the loan if you are a black business. Well, why is that?
Look, I think there's a number of different reasons. One is due to the level of, or the likelihood of default. So it's not just the financial institution saying, we're not going to give you capital. It is sometimes due to the behavior of businesses in the past that are from those communities. But often it's due to, and again, this is not, set in stone. This is my opinion based on what I've seen, based on the businesses we've supported. Often it's due to, again, these businesses not understanding exactly what's required from them when going to these institutions. We recently supported a business that's about to set up a kind of a beauty parlor, growing well, sustainable. But the support that business needed was not just, okay, here's a finance provider for you to go to, but it's what do your accounts look like? And can we get them into the right shape? So when you're presenting your business, you're presenting them in such a manner that that institution understands. And also there's just the fact that a lot of these people are too discouraged to even try and apply. So when they're going to apply, they haven't applied for credit ever before in the past. So there's so many different nuances and factors that influence why, those from black and ethnic minority communities are more likely to be rejected than their indigenous counterparts.
Do you feel then in a lack of financial literacy in applicants that you've seen?
From a cultural perspective, they may be first generation, second generation, and their parents may have not accepted credit in the house. According to our society, if you need credit, you're in a bad position. Credit has 2 sides to it. There's yes, the side which is, okay, credit can be detrimental if you use it the wrong way, but if you use the right way, actually credit can be amazing. And I think a lot of those in the black communities, they haven't seen people using credit the right way, if that kind of makes sense.
It does make sense, but even as you're saying the words debt and credit, I'm getting these shivers.
It's so crazy, right? We often, especially at Lendo, we don't like saying debt because debt just sounds bad.
What can we do to bridge the gap between black businesses, black entrepreneurs, and the access to resources that help build businesses?
We need to be able to go to our fellow, our friend, another business owner who looks like us maybe and say, look, I'm having troubles with this. Can you help me? And all of a sudden, everything that person, that woman, that man has learned in regards to accessing finance over the years of being in business, she provides that to you, or he provides that to you. So I think it's really that education piece that's going to bridge that gap towards black businesses accessing finance.
Definitely, and I agree, man. Education is the key, man. We have to enlighten ourselves with the information that we need to push ourselves forward.
Jamelia and Demi have similar thoughts into how sharing knowledge can bridge the rejection gap for black entrepreneurs in the UK. For Jamelia, mentoring is a key tool that can help black people into employment or the business world. For Demi, it's about access to the right information to get black businesses financially savvy. Reflecting on this and in reaching the midpoint of my journey, I wanted to check back with Elsie and Fred to see how their business was adapting.
What's going on? What's going on? How are you? You all right?
Man, how are you?
I'm good, man. Come, let's go. Oh, wow. This is beautiful.
Worst places to be, right?
Oh, wow. Let's jump in. So what's happening here today?
We are shooting SS21 Cap 3, which will be our second to last summer collection of the year.
Do you think, as a black-owned business, going through this time, which has kind of put such a focus on black people as a whole, but really on black-owned businesses, has it changed or invoked anything in you, personally?
It hasn't necessarily affected our business, but, and don't get me wrong, I've always been a proud black person, but we never felt like we could push that forward before. And since last year and since this sense of community is built, we really feel like really proud and really want to show off who we are and are really just feel more engaged, and that's really special.
And back to 𝗚𝗏 and Fred. Even recently, you've been making sure you made an effort to even make sure the brand looks even more like you by getting models who look like you guys as well. Not as good as you guys, but like you guys. But like you guys. But how important is that to you?
I think the whole year has just made us look at who we are and what we want the brand to be. And it just made things started making sense. Getting models that represent our company, talking about the message that represents our company. Even though it has been business-wise, it has been a hard year. Visually, today just makes sense.
There's a better awareness of our brand within the black community.
𝗚𝗏 and Fred collection come through. Oh my gosh.
We've got lots of messages from support, like saying, I'm proud, did not know you guys.
Didn't know you guys were black.
Didn't know you guys were black, or did not know you guys were biracial.
I'm actually going to be doing a clothing haul, and specifically a black-owned business clothing haul.
They've been proud of us, and that's fed my soul.
I know there's gonna be...
Leaving 𝗚𝗏 and Fred, I can't help but think how humbling it is that spending black doesn't just lead to financial gain for companies. For some, it really cements their identity and helps them become the businesses they always wanted to be.
But in what way did BLM impact people's decision to spend black? I've invited Kalia to come meet me. She set up 𝗂𝗏𝗋, an online marketplace like Amazon or eBay, but the one difference being it exclusively sells products from black-owned businesses.
I remember finding you as well last year when I was looking for somewhere that had a resource that could show me where all black businesses are. You know, that's wishful thinking, but I think you guys do a pretty good job, yeah? But the reason I did was because of what happened back in May with George Floyd's passing. Explain to me how that impacted 𝗂𝗏𝗋 as a business.
After George Floyd passed, we saw a 2,000% increase in website traffic from May to June. It was huge, and the sales just would not stop, which was obviously incredible, but it was also very bittersweet because it was also a really difficult time for members of the black community.
How long would you say it was until those numbers of visits and purchases, I guess, normalized?
From July, I would say we saw traffic drop to about 20% of those levels, but that's still a huge increase from May. And when we hit October, November, December, which is obviously peak shopping periods for Christmas, it went back up again. People do want to support black-owned businesses, but you have to make it really easy for them and just make it as simple as search, click, buy.
Was it possible for you to tell of those consumers and those visitors how much was from the black community and how much wasn't?
So we don't ask for ethnicity data when people buy, but we do use proxies like postcodes.
Okay.
So we had an unprecedented surge in areas that aren't typically black. You don't typically find black people. So places like Exeter, Somerset, but then at the same time, like areas that you do expect to have a high concentration of black people, so Stratford, Streatham, Hackney, those places we also saw a surge as well, which is really exciting. And it's black people in the black community, but then also it's women, it's millennial women who really believe in the power of their pounds to empower others and to make a difference to the world.
Of course.
Call me an optimist, but I do think this is the beginning of a new age.
This is the first time I've heard someone use data to tell us whether people are still spending black. But what I wanted to find out was, how do we make spending black more accessible to people outside the black community? Someone who can answer that is Kate, a leading consumer psychologist.
One of the questions that I wanted to ask you, when a company presents itself as being black-owned, does that resonate with a consumer.
If you're going to go and dissect majority of your decisions, do you really think is that shampoo black owned? Recently, it's a little bit bigger factor, but it's only because there was a lot of noise made around Black Lives Matter. That's not the best way, because, you know, that is a way of guilting and shaming people into saying this is what is important right now and this is what we need to take care of. It is always important. But the challenge is we spent centuries of building wrong associations in our subconscious mind, wrong stereotypes. Don't subsidize a black culture with something. No, a black culture is about love. It is about family. It is about joy. That is what you can sell. And oh, by the way, we are black owned and it's natural to us. So then eventually, subconsciously, we are going to choose a black owned business because we want to choose family values, not necessarily because it's black owned.
I'm under no illusion to think that spending black can cure all sides to structural racism that I've highlighted, because the main problem is overcoming unconscious prejudice against black people generally, especially within the entrepreneurial landscape. But I think Kate's point about black businesses associating their branding to all the positive parts of black culture is definitely the best long-term plan going forward. Black entrepreneurship has been on the rise for the last few years. From the businesses that I've met, I've seen how they reinvest into the community. I mean, just look at where I am right now. An old police station, a visual representation of confinement and authority. It's now being used as a hub for black businesses. This is what black business means to me, an opportunity to rewrite the narrative ourselves.
I couldn't believe how they managed to reconvert this old police station. Now behind every cell door is no longer a prisoner, but a black-owned business.
What, just in here like this? This is crazy. You got a barbershop here, this is mad. Nah, this for me is crazy because I've done a lot of work like in prisons. One of my friends is in prison right now. Wow. So I've seen these environments before, but in very different contexts. So to see how you've turned this around is something that is actually so positive. For me, it's kind of emotional, I'm not gonna lie. You know what I mean? It's just crazy seeing what this used to be, man, and see what it is now. And you make it look so, and it smells nice as well.
This police station is now a visual representation of re-owning black stereotypes. It feels like the perfect place to end my journey.
I've learned that it's not only black people who are choosing to consciously spend black, and black businesses no longer feel like they have to hide their blackness to be successful. However, the data is pointing to the fact that buying black is at its highest point and most consistent when there is a traumatic event that affects the black community. And for me, that feels like someone literally has to die to remind us to invest in black lives. Now that buying black is more mainstream, the next step is maintaining consistency. And this journey has made me optimistic for what the future may hold.